Get your ears wrapped around the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast. All the scoop you need to know, from college basketball to the NBA and even March Madness. News of your rising stars. Topics on and off the hardwood. This is the Golden State Media Concepts Basketball Podcast.
All right, everybody, peace. Welcome to the GSMC Basketball Podcast show, brought to you by GSMC Sports Network. As you guys know, I'm your host, Sean Cottle, and we've got a wonderful show for you today, guys. We're going to be covering some news and coming out of the WNBA, and as well. Bless you. Thank you. And we're also going to be covering some news surrounding the 76ers and the LA Lakers. And I'm also going to do a little bit of a special edition for Storytime Friday. Typically, I only spend one segment on Storytime Fridays, but I felt a little generous today, so we're going to do two segments of Storytime Friday where I share a couple of stories from my experiences playing professional basketball overseas. Or I might share a college experience. I don't know. See what I'm feeling. But before we get into any of that, guys, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all related content. Be sure to follow us on Patreon as well. You can do so by going to patreon.com, clicking on the search bar, and typing in GSMC Sports. That way you can get access to all of our exclusive content that we post daily. And if you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/GSMC-Sports-Network/tip. Once again, it's streamelements.com/GSMC-Sports-Network/tip. None of this is possible without you guys as fans, so it's an honor and privilege to have this platform and share with you guys my thoughts and my insights on the wonderful world of basketball. So, with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? So, as I was saying, recent reports coming out of the Philadelphia 76ers camp states that All-Star James Harden's status for the preseason opener is uncertain at this point. That's according to Sixers head coach Nick Nurse. And Nick Nurse stated that he doesn't know when asked whether Harden will play on Sunday in Boston. Nurse also stated that, I think that we still got a number of people that we're trying to kind of ramp up to get to Sunday. So I don't know how that'll go. We certainly got another day of practice in Boston tomorrow. And I think tomorrow will be a hard-working physical day. It's training camp, so you don't really kind of pare down going into that stuff. We're still into getting after it and competing tomorrow. So have to see how everybody comes out after that and see where we are. And as you guys know, Harden has yet to speak with reporters since returning to practice, and was on the court for an extended shooting session with fellow guard Tyrese Maxey after Friday's practice, which occurred today. According to that report, it's fairly uncertain whether Harden's going to play, but I think this is typical for stars, especially during preseason. I was reading the report, and at first I was thinking, is this something to look into? Is this a big deal? No big deal? I don't think it's that big of a deal. Even if there wasn't the drama that was going on with James Harden and Daryl Morey, I don't think Harden will be playing much in the preseason anyway, and I don't expect Joel Embiid to play much in the preseason, and I don't expect Tyrese Maxey or Tobias Harris. I don't expect any of those guys to play much during the preseason as it is. They might play a little bit, but not extensively, and some of them might not play at all. So, so I don't want to read too much into this, but they've got to find a way to adjust this training camp, man, because there's no way guys are prepared for an 82-game season after just barely a week of training camp. There's no way your body's physically prepared for that. they've either got to extend the training camp or limit the number of games in a week at the start of the season, and then slowly increase that number as the season goes along. There's got to be a way to alleviate this, because physically there's no way your body's ready after a week of training camp for an 82 game schedule. It's just not. It's almost physically impossible. And basketball players, we know that you don't simulate game shape, or you don't simulate game shape. The only way you really get in shape for basketball is by playing basketball. And then there's a difference between playing pickup, and then there's a difference of playing in a practice setting. There's a difference in playing like in an actual game. Really, even if you feel like you're in shape during training camp or how you practice, it's still going to take you a while to get your legs and your wind up for actual official game shape. So it's progressions to it and levels to it. But that's why it's so important to take care of everything on your end as an athlete, as a basketball player, during the off season. Making sure you're in shape during the season. During the off season, or at least to the best of your abilities. That way, that progression, that process of getting in shape from practice to the game is a little easier. But because people are human and not everyone works hard, there's always people that don't work hard and come into training camp out of shape, and that just elongates the process for them getting into shape. And the less in shape you are, the higher risk you have of getting injured. And a lot of times that's how people get hurt, because they're not in shape, and so they're overextending their muscles and their body. And that is the formula for getting hurt. Not being in shape for training camp. So these are adjustments. These are just things I think the NBA should look into. The fixing is either extending training camp on the back end or the front end. Either get the guys coming in earlier, or just extending the training camp. Add another week to it. That's just me. Let me know what you guys think. Should there be changes made to the training camp format as of right now? And also, I know we haven't discussed it, but LeBron James also won't be playing in the preseason opener. So, I expect LeBron maybe to play in the last two preseason games, maybe the last preseason game. But once again, I don't expect him to play much during the preseason. But LeBron James is a guy is an athlete whose track record speaks for itself. He's always been in tip-top shape. He's always taken care of his body to the utmost capacity. So, he's not someone that you worry about being out of shape by any stretch of the imagination. Yes. But with that being said, guys, in our next segment, we are going to be discussing some recent news coming out of the WNBA. So be sure to stick around for all that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. That's All right, welcome back. In case you missed the first segment of our show, we discussed the just recent reports coming out of Philadelphia 76ers camp as well as the Lakers camp in regards to James Harden's status for the preseason opener being uncertain, as well as LeBron James confirming that he won't be playing in the preseason opener for the Lakers. Neither of those really come as a surprise, but I feel like it was a good framing device to talk about the issues that I have with the formatting for the way training camp is set up right now, and things that I think that can be fixed in order to alleviate injuries to players in the NBA and allow players an easier transition from training camp to the regular season. But let's go ahead and get into this next segment, guys. Just discussing some recent news coming out of the WNBA in regards to the Phoenix Mercury and some plans they have to develop a new practice facility. So, if we look at the report made by ESPN, the Phoenix Suns and Mercury owner Matt Ishbia announced to staff Thursday he is investing more than $100 million in a new practice facility for the Phoenix Mercury and an adjoining downtown headquarters for the teams. And something we talked about extensively during the show yesterday was that there was a correlation between teams, WNBA teams that shared arenas specifically with NBA affiliates or NBA teams. Typically, you see those teams have higher turnout rate by fans, and I think that the WNBA would be doing its due diligence and be doing things in their best interest if there is more of a more of a connection between NBA and WNBA for this, for example. And so actually the Phoenix Mercury are a good example of this. So obviously owner Matt Ishbia owns both the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury, and the Phoenix Mercury, as you guys know, share the arena or play their home games in the Phoenix Suns stadium as well. And Phoenix Mercury have their own practice facility adjoining with the Phoenix Suns, and they have their own training staff. Sorry, not training staff, their own recovery center, and so you can tell there's a lot of money that's been invested into the Phoenix Mercury franchise, and obviously it's almost like a filler system. It's like a filter. Sorry, it's like a filler system by connecting the NBA, the Phoenix Suns, with the Phoenix Mercury. Whatever the Phoenix Suns get, the Phoenix Mercury are going to get as well, and understandably so, because Matt Ishbia is the owner of both teams, and I understand that not every franchise in the WNBA is going to be owned by an NBA owner as well. However, that sort of dynamic and concept just makes it easier for the WNBA to get better equipment, better fan turnout with the stadiums, and like I said, like the story says, practice facilities as well. And it's no surprise, that teams that have the best facilities are also owned by NBA owners and almost, like I said, act as a farm system for NBA teams, or as a comparison with the NBA teams. And this should be the formula, the frame rate for the WNBA moving forward. And we saw the news yesterday with the expansion team being connected with the Bay Area with the Golden State Warriors and Joe Lacob, another great example. I just think that makes it easier for the WNBA, because the WNBA isn't at a point now where it's able to. It might be trending in that direction, but it's not at a position where they're able to generate a lot of revenue, where they can stand on their own, and every WNBA team have their own facility, their own arena, and such nature. But I think I don't see anything wrong with that, though. You know, you have to use the resources and the circumstances to the best of your ability. But and that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think about that. But in our next segment, guys, we are going to be, I'll be sharing with you guys Storytime Friday, obviously. I'm going to be doing 2 segments as opposed to just one, so you're not going to miss any of that, guys. So just be sure to stick around for all of that. We'll be right back. All right, bye. Welcome back. In case you missed the first couple segments of our show, we discussed the recent reports coming out of Philly and LA camps revolving around James Harden and LeBron James, and just that they won't be playing in. Well, LeBron James for certain won't be playing in the preseason opener, and James Harden's status for the preseason opener is currently uncertain. Then we also discussed some news coming out of the WNBA in regards to them, or in regards to Phoenix Mercury and owner Matt Ishbia stating that he plans to invest $100 million into a new practice facility for the Phoenix Mercury. And like I said, guys, in this segment we're going to be discussing, or I'm going to be sharing a story with you guys about Storytime Friday, and it's going to be a story from my time playing either overseas or in college. And I think with this story for part one, I want to do a professional story. So this story is just going to highlight the competitive nature of us as professionals overseas. So my rookie year in England, after every practice, me and about six other guys on the team, we'd stay and we played one-on-ones. And there's something called King of the Hill, where it's one-on-one, and if you score, you stay on. If you lose, you get in the back of the line, and the next person in line gets up on defense. And if you get a stop, you go on offense, so forth and so on, right? So the first person to get to 7 wins, right? And 7 points. And there's a lot of competitiveness in these King of the Hills, and often got extremely intense. But that competitive environment, that nature makes people better, right? And so it was extremely competitive. And when I play basketball, I want to make it clear that I dominated you, and that I won by no fluke, and it wasn't luck. I want to make it known that I won, and it wasn't by happenstance. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't by luck. I went in there and I did what I did, and you're not going to do it, and you would never be able to beat me. And so obviously things got super competitive. It always get chippy, during these King of the Hill sessions, and lots of talking was going on, lots of chirping, lots of physicality, lots of fouling. And anyway, so whenever I played King of the Hill, there was always two things. There's only one option. There's one option. I'm never going home on a loss. Never going home on a loss. And so I say that to say the first game, so first round, you played to 7. And some people might say, okay, well, I'm done, guys. We're done. But I would convince the guys that were there playing. I would say, no, let's run it back. Let's get another one. And I'll kind of coerce them and egg them into playing by saying things like, oh, I bet you can't do it again. I bet it won't happen again. And then obviously the competitive nature that sometimes inspires guys to run it back, to play it again. And I made sure I never lost twice. If I lost the first round of King of the Hill, I made sure I won the second one. But not only did I want to win, I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that I won, and that it wasn't a fluke, and that this was the norm, me winning. And so I would never go home on just one win. I wanted to win 2 in a row. And so you play it once to 7 and say I didn't win. I was okay, run it back, and then I would win. And then, or I would lose. So if difference, I would win, and then I would run it back again, because obviously guys want to run it back, especially if you lose. So I would lose the first one, then I win the second one, And then I'd run it back again, even if the guys didn't want to. They're just like, okay, now I'm done. I'm like, no, run it back. You might have a chance. And I would tell them that to give them confidence, just so I could get my 2 wins in a row. And so I'd win a second time in a row. And then by that time, the guys want to play again because they want to get a victory. But for me, I don't care because I've already gotten what I needed. I got my 2 wins, and I'm done. I can leave. And so I would always leave after I won 2 in a row. No matter how many guys were still there or weren't there, I left after my 2 wins in a row. Because I did what I needed to do. I showed you guys that I do this, and I'm the best at this. And so that kind of sort of like, some people call it delusion of grandeur or, competitive nature. It has fueled me and helped me get to where I need to be today. But there will be some times where I might lose 3 in a row. I might lose 4 in a row. And, I won't have an opportunity to win 2 in a row. But I'm never leaving. I'm never leaving on a loss. I don't care if I got to play one-on-one with just one person. And, if it's just regular one-on-one, no one else is there. I'm leaving on a win. I'm not leaving on a loss. So that competitive nature was fervent and rampant within our team. My rookie year in England, and it's no question that was probably the most talented team and the most successful team that I've played on so far in my professional career. But it's healthy. It's healthy competition, and it's necessary, in my opinion, to truly get better and to reach that next level. But yeah, I just want to share with you guys that story. But in our next story time part 2, I'm going to be sharing with you guys another story. This one will be from college, so different dynamic. But be sure to stick around for that, guys. You're not going to miss it. We'll be right back. Alright, everybody, welcome back. In case you missed the first couple segments of our show, we just discussed the news involving James Harden and LeBron James in regards to their availability for the preseason opener. And we also discussed some news involving the Phoenix Mercury and Matt Ishbia, who plans to invest $100 million to create a new practice facility. And the last segment, I just started... I did an extra session for Storytime Fridays, and I'm going to segue that into this last segment as well by doing another Storytime Friday, or another segment to the Storytime Friday. So like I said, this segment, guys, is going to be from my college days, and it's actually pretty funny. This is when I realized that fan interaction and fans are actually, some fans can be actually kind of crazy, and this is probably the most insane, not the most intense, but probably the craziest interaction I had with a fan. So we were playing Utah State my sophomore year of college at Southern Virginia University. You know, obviously you guys know Utah State's a Division I school, and so we were a Division III school. So open up the season against Utah State, home game for them. We're in their stadium. This is a huge, beautiful, beautiful stadium, and obviously, so it's the opener, preseason opener, mind you, preseason opener at that. And it's a D3 school, so you wouldn't expect a lot of fans to turn out for the game, right? For Utah State. Wrong. There is about maybe 7,000 people in the stands, which isn't a lot for Utah State, but it was a lot for us as a Division III program. Like, the most we could get in our stadium was maybe 600 at the most. So, you know, the context. But anyway, so we're playing Utah State, and while we're at the free throw line, one of my teammates is shooting free throws on the court, and I hear one of the fans that are like kind of almost courtside, but not on the side where the courtside seats are, but like on the other side, right? So it's like that first row of bleachers. He yells over and says, "Hey, number 5," because the number's number 5. He's like, "How's such and such doing?" And the name he said was my sister, and I was like, "What?" And so obviously I want to turn around, but I don't want to give him the satisfaction. And then he said, "Is she still going to such and such school?" And because she was in college still at the time. And then that was when I was like, "How does she know? How does he know that where school she goes?" So then I turned around, and he looked at me and he said, "Yeah, I know all of that." And so I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Bro, we're a Division III school. Like, and it's a preseason game. I respect the research you're doing, but it's not that serious." And I'm not even at the free throw line. My teammate is. And so, you know, that interaction right there made me realize that fans are, when they love their team, and they will go all out. And the fact that this happened at the preseason game, and that was to extend that, but, you know, it was just crazy that person did their research, and obviously had to look me up on social media, and had to look up my tags, and you know, he found my sister on Facebook, whatever, however he did it, he found that information and used it right there. And it did, though. In that moment, it threw me off, but then I didn't think much of it afterward. But still, in that moment, I was like, wow, these guys do their research, man. These fans do their research, and I respect it. But that was a crazy moment right there and that's probably the craziest fan interaction I had in college, but it's definitely not the most intense. I definitely had some more intense fan interactions from the conference the teams in our conference that we play, especially on the away games. But yeah, that was a funny one. That was a very interesting one. Only fan that, you know, called out my family and, you know, called out my information like that. But Yeah, that was a funny one. That was crazy. But that's it for our show for today, guys. That's all we have. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well, so you guys can stay up to date on all of the latest content that we post daily. And be sure to follow us on Patreon as well. You can do so by going to patreon.com, clicking on the search bar and typing in GSMC Sports. That we can get access to all of our exclusive content. If you'd like to support our network and our company, you can do so by following the link in the ticker below. It's streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network./tip. Once again, it's streamelements.com/GSMC Sports Network./tip. None of this is possible without you guys, the fans. We're so grateful and honored for all the love and support that you show us, and it's a privilege to have this platform and share with you guys my thoughts and my insight on the wonderful game of basketball. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out some of the other shows at the GSMC Sports Network: the GSMC Baseball Podcast, GSMC College Football Podcast, the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast, and the GSMC NFL Podcast as well. All of our hosts provide great insight on the sports that they cover, and it's an honor and privilege to be working alongside some of the best in the sports media industry. So with that being said, guys, we'll be back again same time on Monday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. Continue to stay safe, be vigilant, make smart decisions, and until next time, peace.